So let's talk about the recent Substack data breach. If you're one of the millions of people writing or reading on the platform, you're definitely going to want to pay close attention. It's the first question on everyone's mind whenever this stuff happens, right? Is my account safe? It's a huge concern, especially for a platform that's really built on trust. All right, so here's the deal. Substack has officially confirmed a security breach. We're going to break down exactly what went down, what data was taken, and most importantly, the steps you should take to protect yourself. Okay, so let's start at the very beginning. What exactly happened here? How did somebody get into Substack's systems in the first place? Well, this wasn't an inside job or some kind of accident. Substack confirmed that an unauthorized third party, basically hackers, actively broke into their systems with the specific goal of getting to user data. And that, of course, leads to the million-dollar question for every single user. What data did they actually manage to get their hands on? Turns out, it's a bit of a mixed bag. Okay, so the hackers got access to a pretty specific set of info: your email addresses, phone numbers, and some of Substack's internal metadata. But, and this is the really crucial part, they did not get the most sensitive information. And honestly, that's a major silver lining here. Let me just be crystal clear on this. Substack says your password and your sensitive financial info, like credit card details, were not accessed. That is a huge relief, because it means the risk of direct financial fraud from this specific breach is pretty low. But, the type of data that was stolen is only one part of the story. The timeline of how this all went down, well, that raises some completely different and maybe more worrying questions. So check this out. The initial break-in actually happened all the way back in October 2025. But Substack didn't even realize it until the beginning of February the next year. That's a 4-month gap. In the security world, they call that dwell time. The amount of time an attacker is just sitting inside your network undetected. And at dwell time that long, that's a huge red flag. So once Substack did find out, how did they handle it? Well, their public response was surprisingly direct. The CEO, Chris Best, sent an email that pretty much skipped all the usual corporate jargon. It was just a blunt, straightforward apology. I mean, you almost never see that kind of candor from a tech company after a security failure like this. But it wasn't just words. Substack took 3 really critical actions. First, they fixed the security hole that the attackers used to get in. Second, they launched a full-blown investigation. And third, they started a complete review of all their security systems to try and prevent this from happening again. Okay, so what does all this mean for you? Even with your password being safe, you still need to be proactive here. And here's why. A security advocate named Javad Malik really spells out the danger. He says that even without your password, your email and phone number are really valuable. Scammers can use that info for super targeted phishing attacks, or even more serious stuff like SIM swapping, where they try to take over your phone number, or doxing, where they just dump your private info online. So here's your 3-step game plan. It's simple. First, be vigilant. Just assume that scammers might try to use this info against you with some convincing fake emails or texts. Second, just do not click on suspicious links, period. And third, practice a little extra caution. Trust your gut. If an email or a message feels off, it probably is. To put the scale of this whole thing into perspective, remember, Substack has over 50 million active subscriptions. Now, that doesn't mean every single user was hit, but it shows you just how massive of a target the platform is for anyone looking for personal data. Which brings us to this pretty pointed comment from one observer. And while it's kind of a joke, it gets at a really serious issue: the risk that even our biggest tech platforms can sometimes overlook the most basic security practices. And at the end of the day, the Substack breach really leaves us with this fundamental question. The company was transparent after the fact, which is great, but that 4-month delay in even detecting the breach just shows how vulnerable our data really is. So it makes you wonder, in a world of what feels like constant data breaches, what does it truly mean to trust any online platform?